views on the Bush administration?
Bush administration. I don't like the way we're handling the war, but I cannot say I would handle it any different. I think it's just a bad war, but the American people are not getting all the info. He may be doing what's best with what he's got, but as of right now, it's not a good situation, but I don't see that I could have made it any better, so I will not complain against Bush.
How much money do you think we spent in Iraq?
Too much.
Do you have any estimate? Any general idea?
Billions. A lot. We'd spend a lot to get that oil.
How much money do you think a human life is worth?
You can't really estimate that in money.
How many people do you think have died in Iraq?
Thousands. I know that much.
So how much money do you think we've spent, including human lives?
Too much, just like I said before. But the main thing is the troops. They are volunteers. They won't be corporately punished if they don't go. I mean, the army is volunteers. The draft is not in effect. If they didn't want to be in the army, they wouldn't have gone. So we're not getting all the information.
You brought up a draft. Do you think there will be a draft, or there's a chance of a draft?
There won't be a draft for this war unless it escalates very, very much. Like if we got into a war like that with Iran and we didn't have enough troops, I think the draft would come into effect.
Do you know why we're in Iraq? Can you give us a specific reason?
We are in Iraq because we've been told that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and he will use them. Even Bill Clinton said something needed to be done. So now that somebody's doing it, he's turning his whole view around. But we are in Iraq, I think, primarily because we know we needed oil. And if we took care of another problem, we'd kill two birds with one stone. The problem is, the birds are eluding us, and we can't seem to complete our objectives.
So you do think that Saddam is a threat?
He was.
And that this is the best way to get oil?
He was a threat, but now it is truly almost senseless fighting between terrorists and our troops. Because we're no longer fighting the Iraqi people, we're fighting the Pakistani, the Afghani, we're fighting all of them, the terrorists that come from there into Iraq. We got rid of the Iraq insurgents, but now they're coming from other places just because they know they can fight Americans there. If we're not there, they will leave because they won't have any opposition.
So do you think it's worth it?
I think it's a worthy cause, but it's like mice saying it's a good idea to put a bell around the cat's neck so they know where it is. What mouse is going to volunteer to do that?
And what cat would enjoy it? Now, if you're going to compare us to mice, let's reverse it and say we're the cat and that they're the mice. What position would we be in, and what position would they be in?
Well, the position of the cat is sitting back and knowing that whatever the mice do, we're still going to be the cat. And it works both ways.
But as the American cat, we seem to be taking action against the threat that already seems fairly unimportant. As a cat to a mouse, we are bigger and stronger. Although the mice may take things from the fridge, we can still stop it if needed. Do you think that what we did and what we are doing is completely necessary? Do you think we're getting rid of the problem, or do you think we're overdoing it?
As the cat and mouse analogy goes, the cat just needs to bite the mouse's head and stop playing with it.
And you think it hasn't done that yet?
I think our pushes have been not pushing enough. If we really expect to eradicate it, we need to hit it crazy hard.
Okay, my last question, we're running low on time. My last question is your views on the Patriot Act.
Patriot Act. I think the Patriot Act had some pretty good ideas behind it, But sometimes, you know, as well as any plan, sometimes it may go too far. Sometimes it may be enough in others. The Patriot Act, where they can look at what we're doing and see, you know, see things that might be possible threats. Well, I mean, they're looking at American citizens, expecting somebody in America to be anti-American.
So
I just think that's very, very, very rare. Unless you have a reason to look at someone, then you can.
So are you for it or against it?
I'm for the ability, but I'm against the use, the overuse, because it is important to be able to, you know, jump in and make sure everything's okay. But when you're jumping in random spots just to see if, you know.
Well, do you think that it's okay? I mean, what the Patriot Act says is they can do it whenever they want, as much as they want. Whether they abuse it or not, we have no way of being aware of that. Do you trust them enough to say you can do this?
Well, personally, if you have nothing to hide, I really wouldn't care. Only people that would have a problem with supervision is somebody who has something to hide. So as an American citizen, I'll do anything I can just to protect my country, whether it's fighting or whether it's allowing them to see what's happening. Because overall, the government needs to know as much as possible in order to run effectively.
Thank you.
The citizens don't, and that's how they're keeping it, and that's how it should work.
Thank you.
A paradox, a most ingenious.